Howdy, all of you delicious people. I'm here today to review a film that I will go on after the first minute and tell you the title of, because, of course, with YouTube and how they do things. So, I will go on and say right out of the gate here, I thoroughly enjoy this film, and I do not care what that makes me out to be or whatever. I enjoyed this movie. This movie, of course, has a rental store for movies and stuff like that, bringing us back to those kind of 90 feels. Uh, when, of course, we were very young and we would go to these stores and just kind of rent a film, uh, which is very scarce now. There might be like a mom and pop store that still goes on and rents movies, but it's a very rare thing. They might be bringing it back. Like, of course, I was to go on and see like that they're doing like a blockbuster kind of movie at some point. Like, that wasn't the whole idea of me reviewing this movie. I just liked this film anyways. But anyways, so now that we've gotten past the first minute, this movie, of course, is to be called Good Dick. And so, what this movie is to be about beyond, oddly enough, having our two focused characters not actually having a name in this film. Like, the woman who is to be focused in upon this film is just to be called the woman, and the man in this movie is just to be called the man. So we have a film where a woman is to go into a rental store, and she is to only go into the adult section. And so she is to consistently rent these films. And all of a sudden, we have this man who is to speak up to this woman and is to tell her, it's like, you know what? Like, this movie actually wasn't as good as what I thought it would be. Like, if anything, you can go on and make another selection. And she's like, no, I'll just take these then. He's like, oh, okay. So we have the man that after this woman leaves is to find out where she lives and is to continue to just be by that location. And so the man, it seems, is to slowly but surely knock on this woman's door, is to start giving her films without any kind of fees. He's just like, hey, uh, like this was rent free. You can go on and uh, bring this in whenever you want. And so, because the man just wants to go on and have this girl like get a better film. And so the woman goes on and watches this and does what she does, of course. And so more and more, this guy just starts to continue to talk to this woman to the point of him even being able to be in her place as she's holding a knife to him, which I thought was so awesome. Um, and then they just kind of just continue to talk. And then it seems like they end up getting closer and closer. And so this woman, of course, is to be having, of course, this wall up. She really doesn't want to talk much. She even at certain points is to tell this man that she is just so irritated with him talking all the time, and like she does not want to talk to him. Or at certain points they kind of make bets together, simply for the fact to try and get him to shut up. So yeah, so come to find out, the bet does not go her way. But anyways, uh, we further and further, like, it seems that these two characters start to make more and more progress together to where we're thinking or we're hoping that they're going to end up together. all of a sudden there seems to be like a wall that the woman is really putting up against the man. And further and further we go into this movie, um, the woman is to start to realize that the man was to do one thing for her, and that was to get her to change, to uh, to to finally realize like that she needs to go on and do something. And so by the end of this movie, like, we have a happy ending, and so that's the one thing that I liked about this film. So you can go ahead, of course, and check this movie on Tubi. I'm going to go on and, of course, go into a little bit more detail about this film and go into spoilers because I think it's about that time to just go ahead and do so. So let's double fire this bad boy up. It's about that time to just go into what, of course, is always spoiler time. Spoiler time. It's about that time to get into spoil this movie. So we have this store called Cinephile, and so like I said, we have this woman who consistently goes into the adult section, rents these movies, and we have the man who goes on and is to say that one of the films, he thought it was going to be good, but it wasn't. So he ends up kind of taking that movie off to the side, going ahead and giving one of his other coworkers, Derek, like, hey, like, she's renting these films. So Derek ends up going on and getting the movies and giving them to this woman after they kind of scan all the barcodes off the movies. So we have the woman that just kind of runs off, and so the guys end up telling the man, it's like, well, hey, like you can't go on and talk to a person that goes into the adult section like you would any other part of the store. Like, don't do that. Like, it's really uncomfortable for any number of these people. And like, this woman seems to be a regular and comes in there every day. And so it's like, so we have the man who just sees this woman and is to go into her information, and it's to find out her address. And so this guy is just living in his car, and he's like brushing his teeth with just this this bottled water, spitting it out. And so this guy is living in his car and doesn't tell anybody that he's doing it. But it seems we have Eric at some point that finds out and gets really upset, thinking that this guy is to be living in his car and they're friends. And so, anyways, we get a whole confrontation later on with that. But so we have the man who is to find out where this woman lives, and it's kind of in this kind of like gated uh like place, apartment complex. So the man waits till somebody is to drive up, and this gate opens, and so the man goes in and is to like kind of look in and find where this girl lives, and is to see that she is enjoying one of her films. And so he's like, oh, okay, all right. So he ends up walking off. So come to find out, the man is to go through the woman's mail and is to spot some kind of code. So he's like, ah, okay. So he ends up putting in this code, and he can enter in this place at any time by using this code. So the man shows up the next day and is to just be in one of like the kind of opening parts of this apartment complex, and the woman just kind of walks by him quickly, and like he was just kind of hoping if he could stay there long enough at some point, like, they would just get a conversation. So we have the man who later on brings a movie to this girl's door and is to tell her, it's like, oh hey, yeah, like, um I have an aunt that lives here, and like that's the reason why I'm over here, and I just saw you today, and so like I thought I would just kind of deliver this movie to you like rent free without any kind of late fees or anything like that. So the woman goes on and says like, okay, like I'll take this movie and I'll deliver it with my other ones. And the man's like, oh, okay, great, fine, because he just wanted to pick out like the best movie for this woman. So, and that's what he just likes to do, or get somebody that they can just kind of talk and uh, gab about films. So the man goes off to work, and come to find out, one of his coworkers, who is Simon, is to um, be having some relationship troubles. And at some point, he mentions that they broke up, and so on and so forth. So, come to find out, all the guys end up going to dinner together, and come to find out, they end up asking Simon, it's like, well, like, is the reason why like she dumped you is because like you uh like didn't know what a woman's uh private is? Let's be creative here. And so he's like, yeah, I know what it is, I know what. And they're like, well, like, describe it to me. And they end up saying words like flux capacitor and all these kinds of goofy things, and all these like innuendos and all this like. But then like the guys like start asking one another, it's like, well, do you know what it is, do you know what it is? So so come to find out, later on we have the man who stumbles upon, because we just have the man and the woman who just goes through every single one of these movies. um, Even if it's good, even if it's bad, they just keep going through these films. And so at some point there is this Zen movie, let's just say. Uh, and so for some reason it's just close up shots of a woman. And so it seems that the man ends up going and talking to Simon and saying like, "Hey, you should definitely go on and rent this Zen movie and definitely check into it. Look into it." So, funny enough, we then turn around and have Simon, who is also to recommend this movie, also to Derek, because at some point they have an argument, and Derek ends up showing up to work one day, and like the guys are giving him crap because it's like, hey, like you must have like no life because you're just showing up here on your day off. And Derek's like, no, like I'm going to the grocery store. And they're like, there's nothing here that's a grocery store. It's like, come on, man, like you just wanted to be here. And he's like, no, um like I like the way that this side of town, like, I like the way the wind is and this and that. And it's like, no, just be honest, like you have no life. And so Derek ends up giving Simon crap, and is a talk about Simon, uh, and him not being able to please his woman. And so Simon's like, hey man, like that was a low blow, and kind of walks off. And Eric's like, Derek, come on, he just broke up with that girl, and like that was awful. And Derek's like, well, I'm sorry, but you were getting on my case. And so come to find out, later on we have Derek, who like kind of admits that like he like wants to be with the guys. So at one point he ends up asking them like, well, hey, um there's a movie that's showing, and uh like, do you guys want to, just kind of check it out? And they're like, what's the midnight showing? And they're like, I don't know. So they all go to this movie together. But so I just want to cover all those scenes to kind of get those out of the way. But so we have the man who goes to the woman's place one night, and he is to try to like poke himself in the eye, or like try to figure out a way for him to like be all teary-eyed as if he's like been crying all day. So the man shows up at the woman's house to mention that his aunt is now dead. And so the woman is to just be like, well, okay. Like, so the woman is to let the man in, as the man just kind of wants to like just talk about his aunt, and he ends up going on to like mention this quote about knowledge and wisdom, and immediately the woman knows exactly where that quote is from. And so the man just goes on and is like, well, like, yeah, I guess she got that from that book. And the woman's like, well, yeah, like, just so like you didn't think that she just came up with that out of nowhere. Like, that's not what happened. So we have the man that he's just trying to be like really suave and have something to say about his aunt, so he can just kind of continue this conversation. And so it just turns around to, of course, have the man um, like have them just talk about like the uvula, or the certain parts of the body. They're trying to figure out what exactly the technical terms of stuff is. But then we have the woman who finally just tells the man, it's like, you know what, I'm kind of tired. Like, I want to go to bed. And so the man is like, well, can I like just kind of sleep here tonight? Can I just sleep on your couch? As it seems that the woman still has the knife on her, as she's had the knife on her since he came into the house. Freaking the best part of this movie is just her having this knife, and because she's paranoid, and rightfully so. Like, how could she trust this guy? So because the woman is to say, it's like, well, don't you have like your aunt's place? And the man is like, well, yeah, but can I just sleep here tonight? So the man goes on to sleep at her place, and then in the next morning, he ends up kind of tying this string to her leg. And when he goes off to go to work, which of course he is late for, we have the woman who is to grab this string and pull it until she finds that at the end of this rope, there's a note that is to attach this string, and it says "thank you." And so she's like, "Oh, okay, all right." And like, this wasn't some weird, goofy thing that this guy did. Well, you can say it's still goofy, but whatever. So the man goes on to go to work, and come to find out he's late for work. And so his mother, come to find out, was supposed to get a call from her son. And so since she didn't get a hold of him, she's been calling him consistently. And so finally, there seems to be a ringing on the phone, and Eric tells the man that it's like, well, like, that's her, probably again calling for the 80th time. So the man picks up the phone and starts to talk Polish with his mother, because his mother's Polish. So to the point to like later on in the film, when the man ends up getting to where he's like sleeping next to the woman, he ends up like stating how cold it is in her place, and that he is to want to put his back against her back just so that way he can go on and get warmth, nothing else. So, and then the man goes on and is to mention how from his family they used to do that kind of thing all the time, where just two people would be in a bed together and they would just um, try to be back to back together for warmth. And there's a whole saying of that. And because there's a history of that family that just needs body heat for warmth. And so the man is to tell this woman this story, like the whole history of it. Um, and so, like, when the man is going on and doing this in the bed with the woman, like, he's just reflecting on his family. And, like, the weird thing of it is, though, like, the man is to mention how cold he is, but in all actuality, the guy is not wearing a shirt. Do you think that there's a probably reason for him being cold? Layer it up there, buddy. But it's the whole, like, thing of it is, of, like, a shirtless man. Anyways, so we go into this film, and we have at some point where uh, both the man and the woman are watching these movies together, these adult films. And so at first, we have the woman who's telling the man, it's like, well, like, you can stay here and watch these with me, but you do not say a word. And plus, also, like, the woman is also just kind of ticked because, like, she feels very uncomfortable to be doing anything while the man is there. But, like, they're both gonna just watch this movie together. And so she also has a rule that this guy cannot have a whiffy stiffy, because if he does, he's gone. Like, he's out of here. And at some point, when they keep pushing one another, because we start to see them really just start to push one another, at some point, the man does have a whiffy stiffy, and the woman is to be very ticked about this. And the man tries to convince her, it's like, oh no, it's gone now. And she's like, no, like, you lied to me. So we have them continue to watch these movies, and so we get to a point where the man is to mention how he's making tea. He wants to make tea for the woman, that he's gonna make her like honey, because it's better than sugar. So it seems that the relationship like is like progressing, and so the woman is trying to figure out a way to progress the relationship. So the woman is to see the man who's kind of leaned over on this table looking through something, and so the woman comes from behind him and just starts like thrusting on top of him, and is to try to make him very uncomfortable. And so the woman is to immediately say to the man, it's like, what did you think about that? And the man is just like, I think you're funny. And she's like, you think I'm funny? And he's like, yeah, like, you that was a pretty good joke. And he was like, do you want me to do that to you? And she's like, no. It's like, oh, okay, all right. So like, this guy is not to be broken, sadly enough. So we but we turn around and we have the woman that is just to try to figure out how to create distance between them. And so we go on to, of course, have the man who wants to like take the woman out somewhere. Like, hey, do you want to go somewhere? Do you want to go to a museum, or do you want to go somewhere? And she's like, no. And she ends up saying that she's having her time of the month, and that she's going to be sick, and that she wouldn't want to go anywhere anyways. And he's like, oh, okay, all right. So we have a moment where when the man is to go to the movie theater with his friends, he ends up calling her and saying like, hey, like, you can meet my friends, and like, I want to go with you to this movie theater. We're seeing a film. And so the woman ends up just kind of following the man to the movie theater, but doesn't go inside the movie theater with him or anything. She just kind of watches him going into this movie theater. So, because it seems that she actually like got his message and was to like not want to go to the movie theater, just kind of watch him and see what he does. So we had the man come home to the woman to then say, it's like, well, hey, like, didn't you get my messages? And so that starts to get friction between the two of them, as the woman is to mention that she was sleeping, or that she wants to continue to sleep on the couch and not sleep with the man in the bed like they have been doing. So the man is to push with the woman to say, it's like, well, hey, I'm your boyfriend and I love you, and like, we can like continue to like progress. uh we can just take it as slow as you want. And we have the woman who's just getting more and more upset, and to the point of her almost like calling 911 and all kinds of things. And the man is like, no, don't call 911. And he's even to try to be next to her in his couch, but he kind of knocks her off. Or no, she kind of knocks him off. Kind of like the time when the man is to try and sleep or just be in the bed, and the woman just starts to knock him off. It's kind of funny. So we have the man and the woman who finally goes to this ice skating rink, and she ends up calling the man ugly, and she ends up also calling uh, the man's manhood like disgusting, and like how he can even have something like that, so on and so forth. So we finally have the man and the woman, as it seems that the man is to kind of take everything that this woman is to dish out at him. The woman just finally goes on and pushes him against this fence, and just to say, it's like, oh, you like that, don't you? And he's like, well, I'll take anything that you can give me. And so finally the woman like pushes his face down, and then like starts to kiss him. And then they spend time together kissing in this bed. And that's of course when he has the man has his whiffy sniffy moments, to where she wants to just kind of chuck him out of the place because like, you lied to me. And so we get to where the man is to want to talk to the woman and say like, well, like, you know what, I'm gonna go on, and like, I'm gonna give you like some other movies than what you've been watching. And I'm gonna go on and have at some point where like we can just touch one another and we can see what happens, where this goes. And so we have a moment where they're watching this movie, and like they're wondering uh how big this guy is. And so we have a moment where the man is to make this bet with this woman of like, well, I'm sure I'm probably bigger. And so the woman's like, no, like I've seen one time. I don't think that yours is as big as his. So they all of a sudden take the measuring tape out and are to measure, and they're like, well, okay, like we can just kind of like assess that this guy has to be about 8.5. And so they make a bet that, and I think this is where like the man is to first go on and be in the bed with the woman. So the man is to mention that if his manhood is bigger than this other guy's, then he'll sleep with her in the bed. They'll just sleep together. So she, of course, is to go on and say, it's like, well, yeah, go ahead and measure it. Um, and he's like, well, how will you know if I'm lying or not? And she's just like, well, I'll just kind of go like this. And so come to find out the guy is bigger, uh, somehow or another. So they are to end up in bed together, but it's back to back. So, anyways, at least the bet is to have been is to work out. So, um, so we have the man who's been living with the woman for a while, and so Eric at one point is to talk to the man and mention to him that he went over by the place where the man was living, and the whole entire building was destroyed. It must have been like deconstructed or whatever. Maybe the house burnt down, whatever wherever he was living in. So, excuse me. Eric now asks the man, it's like, well, hey, where are you living now? And the man is like, well, hey, I'm living, excuse me, I'm living somewhere. And Eric's like, well, is it imaginary? Is it a place that only you know exists? Like, don't tell me that you're like also on drugs again. And the man's like, no, like I live somewhere, but like I can't have you go there because it's messy or it's some other thing. And so that ends up creating a rift between Eric and the man, toward like both of them are not on speaking terms, and so on and so forth throughout this film. To where it seems like they can't be in the same room together, and when the man is to see the guys just kind of leave, and is to see that Eric is trying to go on and get cigarettes, the man is like, really? Like, you can't be in the same room? Well, come on. It's kind of childish. So, we, and I know all these things are kind of out of the order of where the movie goes. It doesn't matter to me. Just talking about the film. So, we, here's where we start to have the rift between the woman and the man, as we have at points where the man is to take the woman and just kind of have them walk outside. Just just walk outside. It's all the guy wants. So it seems that the woman is starting to realize like where this is, like it's going further and further. And we have the woman at some point thinking that the man is going to take advantage of her, and like he's not. Like he has no interest in really taking advantage of her. And the woman, it seems, is to consistently look at younger photos of herself, and like one of the photos may be inappropriate, um but yeah, like I guess she was looking at younger photos of herself for some reason. I don't know why. But she ends up doing that more than once in this film. Maybe to see like how she's grown as a person, or um, that's what I can make the conclusion of that being. Um, Funny enough, uh, Polka, the actress here, um, every single time I end up watching Glow, the show Glow, the women's wrestling show, uh, same girl who ends up playing, who's in this movie. So I thought that was kind of really interesting. When I was watching Glow, and I was like, how do I know that girl from? And I was like, oh yeah, like she was in Glow, or she was in this movie. But anyways, so but the woman and the man, friction between both of them, to the point of the woman wanting the man to leave, and she keeps saying over and over and over and over again, leave, 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 because we have a moment where the man is to start just kissing the woman's thighs, and like she is to be like, no, like I don't want this to go where it's going, leave. And he's just like, well, hey, like we can just go on and we can just like do something else, and like we can watch movies or something like that. So she's like, no, leave. So we finally realize that the woman is to finally tell the man, it's like, leave, and I don't want you to ever come back. So the man finally is to just give up on this woman because he's tried. And so the man goes off to live with Eric, and we see the moment where uh, the man is to open the door, or Eric is to open the door to the man, and they hug it out. And like I was like, that's a good moment. That's a nice moment. So we we turn around and have the woman, because the man and the woman, um they started arguing about like the man having this very uh like crappy job, and the man is like, well, at least I have a job. Like, what do you do all day? Like, what do you do? And she's like, and he's like, you just have money, and like you just have these paintings, and that's all you have. So come to find out, after like that consistent arguing, oh, we also have them like just sharing these popsicle sticks, and I think that's when they talk about like the movie and the size of things, so on and so forth, for the man that they're watching in this movie. So, but anyways, pushing on. So the woman is to realize what that man had said and how she doesn't do anything, and so finally she decides that she's going to start working at this cafe, or this coffee joint. Of course, the I don't think there's an actual name for that place. Isn't that great? Um, so the man is to go on and see a number of people renting at the store. There seems to be, after the man and the woman break up, technically, even though they were never really together, to the point where the woman is like, you need to go and find another woman, that'll give you what you need, because I won't give you what you need. And so you just need to find a woman that'll give you that. And so the man's like, no, like I want that with you. Like um I want that here. And she's like, no. So the man is to break up with the girl, is see this couple kissing as they're renting this film. And so he's like, okay, all right, like I'll just. But interesting enough, the couple that were kissing, Um, One of them was Bryce Davis Howard or Dallas Howard. My bad. Um, Ron Howard's daughter, who of course went on to do stuff like Jurassic Park. We also had the really nice moment that I really enjoyed in this film. The moment where Charlie comes into the store and he was to rent a movie to remember his wife that I guess passed away. And so Charlie's going on and telling the guys, like, hey, like find a woman, be with her, like, uh, like you guys are getting older, like come on, like you guys only have so much time left. And I was like, oh my god, like this is such a nice tender moment. And then like Simon ends up like opening the door for Charlie and letting him out. Just a really nice moment in this film. I thought it was really cool. Charlie's actually played by Charles Durning. Saw him on Rescue Me. It was really great. I enjoyed his character on that show also. But so now we're coming to the point where I'm just gonna try to finish this one up. So the woman goes on to work at this cafe and is to finally make her way to her father's place. Her father is actually played by Tom Arnold. So she goes to her dad's place of business and is to tell her dad that she has a job, and he's like, well, where? She's like, I'm not going to tell you where. He's like, well, is it a secret? Like, are you working at a restaurant? No. Like, you working at a strip club? Because if you are, you're probably going to have to lose some weight. And she's like, no, I'm not going to tell you where I'm working. And if you find out where I work, like, I'm going to run away. So, and she's not living at the place that she was living. She's working, or she's living somewhere else that's cheaper. And she's telling her dad this. And he's like, well, like, if you're looking to finally, like, pay me back after it seems that she's not working, he's like, well, you're going to have to pay me, like, $3 million. But no, he's not going to go, he's not going to, like, give her a bill or anything like that. So we have the woman who ends up telling her father that she no longer wants anything to do with him. She no longer wants to go on and have him pay for things because she has her own job, she has everything. She even gives him the keys to her car and is to go off and make her way back to her car and realize that she gave her keys to her dad. And so she just walks off from her car. And oh, we also had the argument between the woman and her father, and her father was like, well, hey, um like because she's like, well, if you do anything, like, I'll call the police. And he's like, the police don't care about you, like, and whatever you're going to complain about, like, they don't care. So the woman ends up getting upset, running off, and she just starts walking. And she ends up making it all the way to the Cinemaphile store. And by the end of this movie, we just see an embrace between both the man and the woman, and they end up kissing, and it's like, oh, nice, happy ending. So yeah, so with that said, I think I'm probably gonna try and call it a wrap there. I think there might have been a scene or two uh, in this film somewhere, but let me know in the comments below if there's anything that I forgot about, because I'm sure that there probably is. Even with a short hour and 20 solid movie with this, so probably the reason why I'm trying to quickly wrap this up. Yeah, I I don't think I gave a grading of this, but I would recommend this movie. Even though people would be baffled by why, I don't really care. Like, I'm just gonna say that I liked this film. Um, Grading of it, I would probably say, um, I think that it's a solid, good movie. But other people have their own opinions. Uh, Other than that, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and just get out of here. Yeah. Goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody.